let me start this. And okay. Okay, so we
And
are
someone's
streaming. We are in
Yeah.
pre-game.
Someone's got their mic right in their nose. I don't know which one of us is.
Probably
but
me.
Okay.
No, I gotta adjust it real quick.
It was kind of like menthol smoke going through a mic. So
That's fine. Yep.
So you know
figured
that's me. No, that's me then. What's
You
going
know how
on,
that goes.
everybody? Welcome to the next podcast pre-game. Yeah, everybody
Yo.
Yeah, there we go. Why don't we say what's going on to the chat? All that good stuff.
What's up, everybody?
What's cracking?
Got Garden State.
We're all like just really really tired today, guys. So we'll pick it up. We'll warm up.
It's
Don't
all
worry
good.
about
Like me and O Snaps we're kind of shopping for our PAX trip tomorrow. Can't wait for that. We're actually going to be meeting up with two of the four guys with quarters, Mr. Italian Clowns and Inferno himself. We're actually going to meet up with them at PAX and go see what PAX East has to offer tomorrow. Yeah, I'm really excited for that, man.
You can almost call those guys 50 Cent.
Yeah. But it's cool because like I've been cool with all the guys and the girl from Four Guys with Quarters like for a while. Real cool guys. And it'll be good to actually hang out in person. You know what I'm saying? And see what games they have on the floor and
Sure.
stuff like that. I believe O Snaps is planning on some type of live streaming on her channel for it. So we're gonna have that going on. I think I'm gonna do more of recording stuff and then putting out videos like when we get home.
Well, put it this way, Snaps is not going to record anything. She's going to flip that camera around and she's going to be looking at her hair.
Yeah, thank you.
That she has going on. She is so proud of that.
Oh my goodness.
Right now. So just let her have her moment.
Yeah.
If anyone sees on her Twitter feed that she's been showing off her red hair, it looks good. Give her a compliment, all that good stuff. But she's not going to film anything other than her hair.
Dude, I'll probably be the one holding the camera. You know what I'm saying? She'll be over there showing off what's there and showing her hair off and everything like that. Yeah, it came out really good though. I can't lie.
So the real question is Xbox going to show up in his milk carton codpiece to PAX East? I mean, I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
Dude, O Snap said something about bleaching my hair. I was like,
She's trying to make you look like Link.
I was just gonna say, what color are you gonna do your hair, dude?
I don't know, man. I don't know. My well, the oldest Justin in the house, like he actually dyes his hair blue every once in a while. So we have blue, we have red. I got to do something different than that, right? If I'm gonna do it.
You bleed green, right?
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was thinking, man. Might want to go
go.
green.
Joker.
I'm not that pale though for Joker, man. Not that pale. But guys, we have a bunch of good topics today. I'm actually really excited to get into this. I think you guys know what I'm going to say next. You guys ready to check out the intro?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, let me make sure the intro is not muted first. How about that one? Yeah, we're good. We're good. I try not to make the same mistakes twice. Here we go, guys. What's going on, people, and welcome to another episode of the next podcast, guys. We really couldn't get together last week. It was a miscommunication on my part and everything like that, and I really do apologize, for the hardcore listeners out there that just can't wait for the Saturday night to come. I do apologize, but we are here this week, and I am fixing my gameplay real quick. Uh, but we have a bunch of really awesome topics. Really think these are topics that really make like gamers think out there, and I'm really excited to bring this out and hear what everybody has to say about it. But before we do that, we definitely got to go into the intros. And first on my list, coming live from the 405. He's just trying to talk to the intelligent gamers out there, and hopefully you can hear me because we were having a little bit of mic issues. But it is my boy K Mega.
What's up, everybody? Back again on the next podcast. About to set this thing on fire. Man, just ready to get on with the show, man. There's a lot of good topics that we want to discuss, and I'm excited to do it. So let's get to it.
Nice, brother, man. Nice. Yeah. I was looking at these topics and I was like, yes, like we got there's some shows that just turn into like those topics that really make people kind of scratch their heads and think like one direction or the other. And I think we got a bunch of things that can add up to some really good discussion, man. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about some of them. Actually, about all of them. But yeah, I'm excited, dude. Um, let's go next on the list. That chinchilla wearing fool, man. You know who I'm gonna announce when I ask you guys to stand up, show that respect, kiss that ring. The Don.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm sorry we weren't live last week, but you know what? At the end of the day, I was kind of glad that that we had that miscommunication because I was pretty darn tired when it came to Saturday. But I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. So
Oh yeah, you got your own little special section going off here today. I can't wait to hear. Like you haven't shared anything with us, so when you talk about what you want to talk about today, it's like we're all gonna be hearing it for the first time. Not
yeah,
just
it's not stuff that you can really illustrate very well in a Twitter DM, right? So it's a natural conversation.
nice.
So which is good. So
Yeah, definitely, man. So I can't wait to get into that. But next on my intro list is that man with the golden voice. You know, that smooth talker for the next podcast. Booskies!
Yeah, as in the words of Dawn, let me slide on in here real smooth, like, right?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
what's up, everybody? Oh, man. It's good to be back. We had a long, couple weeks, really, huh?
Yeah, a couple weeks, man. We built up, to be able to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So we're really going to get, in depth with these topics. Um, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, dude.
That's what's up. Let's do it.
All right, and unfortunately, our boy, the king of Breakout in Halo 5, or as I call him, the Wizard of the UWP, he went to go visit family from his original place, my boy Newark. He is here with us in heart, and I think he's going to be in the chat at some point in time, but unfortunately, he's not on the panel. Hopefully, he's having fun with his family and stuff like that. So, big shout out to Newark. Hopefully, we'll get to hear his opinions on stuff next week. And then, of course, we have Oh Snap, It's Mel, aka Oh Snap Suckers, also known as Girls Can Game 22 on Twitter. She is doing her cookie peddling thing. She is working hard over there, managing that store. So, big shout out to Oh Snap Suckers, and I can't wait to have her on here again as well. But we got to get into the topics, guys. And the first thing I put in the topics in the DM is about Project Scorpio. And the closer we get to the unveiling and E3, because I think they're going to be two separate things. But the closer we get to the unveiling of this new piece of hardware, this new Xbox, this more powerful console, there's there's information that's coming out um, that's really interesting to us gamers. And I believe my boy K Mega, he put an article in our DM talking about how Scorpio will have an effect even on games running on the standard HD television, 1080p television. Yo, K Mega, can you just like tell everybody in the chat real quickly what that article was all about, man?
Yeah, basically, this was an article that was stating that the Scorpio is going to have like anti-aliasing. So it's if you're not familiar with that, if you got a PC, you know exactly what that is. And what it'll do is that it will enhance the shaders. It'll enhance everything that's going on with your older games and enhance them to the way that like for instance, like if you with your Xbox One S and you have the HDR, you got the HDR and then you have anti-aliasing on that as well. It's going to enhance the graphics even more, and it's also going to benefit for older games to hit frame rates better and those resolutions. So it's all tied into what Microsoft was talking about in the very beginning by saying that the Xbox was a beta tester, the Xbox One Fat, that is, because this is where the goal that they were trying to get to. And the Scorpio is basically, now we finding out, the key to all of this, because once this thing comes out, this ecosystem is going to basically kind of like be the Scorpio itself is kind of like a big supercomputer. And and if you have like for me, I have a 1080p monitor, and it looks better than any 1080p television that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, you know, monitors just do that. Well, you'll have that capability of enhancing, maybe even getting to that type of look because of what the Scorpio can provide. Now, you know, if you got a 4K television, you'll get the full enhancements of what, you know, the Scorpio can do. But if you still have a 1080p television, you still will see benefits from the Scorpio. And, you know, if you was kind of reluctant to like, well, I got to get a 4K television and a Scorpio, you really can just wait and just look at the games shine when you get the Scorpio, and then get a 4K television later on. But then also the Xbox One S will get some enhancements later down the line from what this article was basically kind of saying. And you know, of course, people are now believing in the DirectX 12, the cloud, and all that stuff. But it's all coming into to its own form now. Xbox is now making this universal infrastructure.
Yeah, yeah, and it definitely takes time to build an infrastructure. When you saw like what I got when you saw like the API with DirectX 12 when it was announced, and you know, developers started using it and stuff like that. That was the beginning to it. And then when you see like how, you know, they're using Windows 10 as the platform, and you know, you have the console with Xbox One, but Windows 10 is also on PC. You see how they're kind of like bringing everything together, and dude, it takes time, right? You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
just, you can't just flip a switch and just have everything running beautifully right off the bat. So,
Well, you have to remember that the Xbox wasn't supposed to come out. The X1 wasn't supposed to come out until 2015,
mhm.
something like that. So, you know, they had to bring it out early, and then they had to make all the changes that they had to make. So it kind of slowed down the
When
process
did
of
it come out?
everything.
2013, right?
2013. Yeah, it
Yeah.
came out in 2013.
Yeah, I've seen that already. I don't know if I believe that whole like it was supposed to come out that far out, but maybe a year out. Maybe that makes more sense. But no, not that far out, because there's no
Well,
way they could have made chips that soon and rush something out to market. Like that just doesn't.
well, they said that the thing was, well, it could have been 2014. I thought it was 2015, but regardless,
Yeah.
they sent it out early to compete with PlayStation, and really it turned out to be a mistake. I think that they would have been better off of waiting
Mhm.
the whole entire, you know, wait the year or 2 years, whichever one it was, and get everything together instead of bringing it out early and having the launch that it had, because maybe they could have made those changes to, you know, with the Connect, lowered the price, gave a better UI and all of that by the time that it was coming out, and PlayStation would have still had a lead, but they were really afraid that PlayStation was going to have a massive lead. But as we see, PlayStation already has a massive lead, so
Well,
it really didn't help any.
well, Mega, from what the research I've done with like the whole DirectX and how they were using an iteration in the beginning of DirectX 11, I believe it was called DirectX 11X, and that was an API that was specifically made for Xbox One games. And if you listen to Phil Spencer's interview, I believe who was it with? Was it with IGN? That
Yeah, it was. It was Ryan McCaffrey and
he even
the podcast unlocked it.
Podcast
yeah,
Unlocked. Yeah.
Podcast Unlocked. Yo, he even stated how hard it was to build games for that launch Xbox One. And I think a lot of it had to deal with that kind of slap together and premature API that they were trying to use. So it definitely shows that the Xbox One was supposed to come out at a later date, whether it was 1 year or two. Uh, doesn't really matter. It came out early and it came out, I guess you could say, a little unready. But dude, like the launch games that came out for a system that was quote unquote unready or early. I mean, we had like Rise, we had Forza, we had a bunch of really
Dead Rising 3 with all those damn zombies on the screen was crazy.
yeah, damn. So can you imagine now that they're catching up? You have the right API in place. You have the developers developing it. Building the assets library and stuff like that. Going into now more powerful hardware coming out, dude. Like Xbox looks to be in a really good place right now. They did a lot of hard work. Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
let's take it back to like what K Mega was saying in regards to towards the article, and how if you don't have a 4K display, you'll still see benefits and things like that. This was kind of a known thing. You're running a higher quality version of the game, essentially what's going on, and what they're doing is they're downsampling to a lower resolution now.
Hold on,
Everyone
Don.
that's
Don. Oh, just to cut you off, when you said because you said downsampling and stuff like that, I believe there was something called super sampling involved
Yeah,
in this.
that I think that is a very poor wording
Okay.
on Windows Central, because I don't think he's using that term correctly, to be honest with you.
All right.
But downsampling is basically you're taking a higher resolution image and you're lowering it to a lower resolution, right? So the game and its native frame buffer is much higher,
Mhm.
and then it's taking that source image and downsampled for the display that you have. Now we've all seen this before if we owned a 360 or a PlayStation 3, and before we bought ourselves a HD TV. So like when I got my 360, I didn't have an HD TV when I first got it, right?
Mhm.
The games definitely looked better than the previous generation. It didn't quite hit that leap where I played Gears or something like that, but for the most part, games were looking a lot better. I noticed a significant difference once I got a higher resolution television. Right, the difference was actually a lot more pronounced in every single thing, and that's what we're kind of going to see. Most of us have already experienced this. This is not anything new. We've seen this happen before. So like if you want to piecemeal your gaming setup, that's totally fine. If you don't want to go to a higher resolution television and you think it's all bunkus, whatever, who cares? But you are going to see a difference across the board. Higher polygon count is a higher polygon count regardless of what the screen resolution is, right? More reflective surfaces is more reflective surfaces.
Mhm.
There's no way around those those fractional things that happen in a three-dimensional world. So you have things like subsurface scattering. You can crank up to the nines. You have things like what do they call that? Ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is very has amazing effects in regards to you can crank that up to the best of its ability. And a lot of times it's also balancing all those type of graphical effects that you can do in a 3D world and utilizing the power correctly. You can have the most craziest powerful machine, but you do still have to, you still have a finite amount of power, and you have to be responsible on how you use it. But when you do that, you're going to get great looking games. They're going to look good no matter what display. Even if it has a 720 to 20 display, it's going to look better than what the previous Xbox is going to look like, and that's exciting. So
Yeah, and it's funny because in the beginning when Scorpio was first unveiled, I think Phil Spencer, because we had the Xbox One S unveiled, and then you had Project Scorpio, unveiled that's coming out a year later. And Phil Spencer, with talking to reporters and stuff, is like, well, if you don't have a 4K television, then Project Scorpio might not be for you. You can still um, pick up the One S and get the benefits, the HDR and stuff like that. I think he was just trying to sell both pieces of hardware at that point in time because now, when you have such a powerful piece of hardware, you got 6 T-flops. What I believe is using the Ryzen CPU and the Vega GPU architecture, you have such a powerful machine that you are going to see benefits. And when you see that the games that are downloading are actually the PC versions of the games that are downloading to your console, you're automatically, I believe it was Dealer and our boy D-Batch was talking about how they were going to have the quote unquote ultra settings, which is a loose narrative, but it's a lot more on the graphic side. It's a lot more, particle effects, lighting effects, stuff like that. If you have all that in the game, regardless if it's an HD television or a 4K television, you're gonna see a difference. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the benefit of the UWP. That's something that that Play Anywhere was huge news, and that's all in effect to what the UWP is doing, because not only because they want to bring PC games to the Xbox brand, but they also want to utilize make it easier for the developers just to make one certain type of game and not have to worry about trying to make multiple different things. Just kind of like I think what a lot of developers having the problem with the PlayStation Vanilla and the PlayStation Pro, because they have to use this checkerboarding stuff for the Pro and just make basically a regular game for the vanilla. I think that caused a lot of issues. And so with the Play Anywhere aspect, just make one game, and for however the hardware is, it'll benefit. And actually now from what the article was saying, that it's going to benefit even the lower tier Xbox. So that's pretty amazing, man.
I think when Phil was being a little conservative earlier versus now, I don't think it has nothing to do with selling the S versus that. I think he really believes the S is the bigger seller, and he stated that. I think what he really was, he just, you got to keep in mind, Scorpio was relatively new, and they did have some things in plan, but they also have to rely on third party to make these things happen, right? They can provide them all the tools, like UWP. They can provide certain things in the API and the DX12 and all these buzzwords you guys are hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the developer is not on board, then he can't just say, well, they're going to use better assets, because he doesn't know. He doesn't dictate that, right? He's just trying to, and it's that sort of thing. We're not going to force somebody. But we're going to encourage them to go this direction, right? Now that it's more mature and you're getting closer to launch and you're getting all these different things in place and things are just kind of lining up, you got a situation where the reason why his tone has changed quite a bit on this is, well, because developers are saying we're go for launch. We're ready to do this. I'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about GDC, but the developer support is there. It simply is.
Well, you had the devs. Crazy. The devs for was it the sequel to Shadow of Mordor called Shadow of War? The devs were talking about like 4K 60 and how it like Shadow of War is a kind of like a brand new looking game when you put all those elements that they're putting in with the Scorpio. I know I read an article on that, and it sounds like devs are excited for this new piece of hardware and developing on it, man.
Well, yeah, he's kind of a technical art director, he's the guy that basically it makes shit work the best they can on every single platform, right? Considering what that platform has going on for it.
Yeah.
And so he's he knows the things I've been saying. Like, when I say you guys don't understand like the highest quality level assets that are out there that can't even run in an engine, that those are all basically those original assets are basically optimized and scaled down so they can actually work in an engine and all that sort of stuff. He sees all that stuff, right? So he knows what those games can actually look like, but because of the PC hardware or at the given point in time they're making it for, or console platform making for, he knows where he has to cut back. He has to scale back the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he goes, I can crank this up or I can crank that up. You know what I mean? Like, it makes his job, like, it makes him look awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, So like it's exciting for him because now you can finally share with the public what games can look like. And I think that's what's exciting for me too. Like, people talk about 4K assets. Well, that doesn't mean anything, right? That means one random 4K texture. Give me a break. I mean, games that we have today sometimes have that, right? Like on our current platform. So we can't just say a blanket statement like that, but it
Well, I know.
literally
Was it World of Tanks uses 4K textures and
per,
stuff?
perfect example, but it doesn't have a native 4K buffer, right?
Exactly.
So that's a good example of it. So what I'm saying is he's excited because he finally gets to share the things that he normally couldn't share before,
Mhm.
right? Thinking along the line like kind of like how Ubisoft games look like when they show them off early versus when they actually release, right? Those are all brought from original assets that are much higher quality, and then they downscale until it can actually work on their engine and stuff like that. So there's a reason why you see that stark contrast, right? When people say, "Oh, it's running on a really high-end PC," well, no, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not even running, right? Because even the high-end PC can't run that, right? That quality, or in regards to that sometimes. So it just really depends on the situation. So, but it is something to think about. It is, I can understand where he's excited. He probably just wants to talk about it, but you just simply can't because, because he's under restrictions. But he's excited, like for him, he's ready. He's ready for E3. He's like, let's do this. Let's do this early. Like let's show what we got.
Yeah,
You
dude.
know,
I think we're all ready for E3. But yo, Foos, what do you think about this article and how the Scorpio is actually? You're gonna see enhancements. You're gonna see a better game running on Scorpio, even with your standard HD television. Man, what kind of thoughts did you get from reading that article, dude?
I don't know. I kind of felt like I've known this the whole time. I mean,
Nice.
I think it's stupid that Phil Spencer really has to come out and explain this shit. I mean, more power and better graphics are not the resolution. So just because you're not going to get 4K on your 1080p television, how can you not think that you're not going to get those graphics still? I mean, just because they're not in 4K doesn't mean they ain't going to look good. So I don't know. It's just
It make
feels like it should be common sense.
Yeah, dude, I feel the same with you. Like when I heard about a more powerful system, and then all of a sudden I heard how, like, when you put the game into the system, it's actually gonna download like the PC version and all that good stuff. I automatically thought, all right, the games are gonna look better even on an
Yeah.
HD television. You're gonna get better graphics. You're gonna get better lighting. It doesn't really matter in terms of the overall resolution. Now, granted, if you do have a 4K television and you put the game, you put up the console on the 4K television, everything is just gonna look super
It's just
crisp.
going to pop more and get sharper. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, when Xbox One came out, I don't remember anybody being worried about, well, does it do 1080p? What's the resolution? I didn't give a shit. All I knew was there was a new Xbox coming and it was going to be beast. So it's just so confusing that people can't get that shit straight in their head.
dude,
Well, they got to compensate
Pray
for
for them.
they got to compensate for the problems of what the PlayStation is going through right now. So they're they're making it up as they go. It usually did. At one point, it did matter. Now it doesn't matter. It's all about the games because PlayStation has a game or a couple of games that's pretty good. Then it comes to the point of, well, I bought this PlayStation Pro to play true 4K gaming, and anybody that's true to themselves know that you're not really getting true 4K gaming. Now, some games will look better, but the fact of it is, it doesn't push enough unless it's an indie game or whatever that can get to actual 4K. And so, because of PlayStation cutting corners, and then that there's so many people that's standing behind this because they're going to just ride the ship and just lie with them. It makes people wonder and speculate if the
it's
Xbox
weird.
is really
You say
going to
stand
bring
behind
this.
it, but no one's really buying it, right? They're buying the
Right.
hardware. Like they'll talk it up, right? but they're not really playing that hardware.
Mm.
Because you can see the overall sales. Now it does generate interest for the brand, right? And this is why I've always said like these iterative hardwares. What it does is it rejuvenates the brand and the brand interest in where it's going. Because you notice Xbox was kind of mopping them up a little bit just for a short period of time during the holiday season, right?
With the
And then
S.
what you went to S, but what happened when the Pro came out? It's not that it sold gangbusters, but it rejuvenated interest in the brand, right? And then they took back that lead. Now I have a feeling they're going to kind of continue uh, the what they call it, North America. What is it? The sales charts for North America.
MPD.
MPD. So they're going to take it between now and probably till E3 announcement, to be honest with you, at a minimum, because they have the newest piece of hardware that's out, right? And so it does generate interest in the brand, regardless of, you and I can see through, like, we're not going to get 4K game. It is going to be a better image, though. That's what people kind of have to understand. Like, given the opportunity and when it's done right, that platform can create a much better quality looking game than the standard slim
Hmm.
at the end of the day, or the vanilla.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. But I'm
There's
rambling a little bit.
well,
So
there's actually a couple things I wanted to say. First of all, when it comes to the PlayStation 4 Pro, when it comes to how they were advertising this, you know, refresh or this mid-gen kind of like upgrade and stuff, how they were advertising it to me was completely wrong. All right. But when you look at what they're doing to make the games look better, what they call the checkerboarding, all right? Um Basically Remedy did the same thing with Quantum Break, right? And I thought Quantum Break looked absolutely outstanding. All right, I thought it was a great looking game, and I love what they did with the effects and stuff like that in the game. So I'm not gonna go back and say checkerboarding is like garbage now, because it's not. Because I saw Remedy use it with Quantum Break, and they did a really good job doing with it. You know what I'm saying? But Sony's advertising of the true 4K gaming experience,
people keep comparing Quantum Break to checkerboarding. They didn't use checkerboarding.
they
They
said
used a
they
different
said they
method.
use checkerboarding, dude.
They used a different method between individual assets. So each individual assets was rendered differently, and some of the assets were using a checkerboarding method, not all of them. So that's how they were able to compile the image. So it's a little bit different than what Sony's doing. Sony's basically checkerboarding the whole entire frame buffer, the whole entire thing, in regards to that. So
Got
it's
you.
not a comparable technology, unfortunately.
Ah, man. Well, I'm gonna have to go back and check it out again, because I remember, because there was such a bullshit move around like the whole Quantum Break thing, where people were like, well, the machines are saying it's 1080p, but it looks like 720 over here and stuff like that, and it's like, well, the game in and of itself was absolutely incredible in my opinion. Everything from the graphics to the story to the gameplay, I love Quantum Break.
Yeah,
And
like the best way to like break it down is if you see like certain like light sources like God rays and that sort of thing, that was running at a lower resolution than checkerboarded. But there were some things that weren't, right? So like the character and the models and all that sort of stuff. So um, there's a reason why when you could look at a checkerboard game, and I don't like checkerboarding personally myself. I
well,
don't
it's more
like the
complicated than native. First and
no, the
foremost, a lot of
image
people are
falls
saying.
apart like when it's moved. Like I would honestly ran it in the system's capable. That I'd rather that says that developer that develops on the Pro just does the standard upscaling. It looks like a cleaner image when things are moving or in motion versus the checkerboarding. The checkerboarding looks crisp and clean when things are just kind of very still, if that makes any sense.
I
But
got you.
last time I checked, everyone can't keep control of their camera, and they move their character all around, and they overshoot things and all that sort of stuff. So it takes and it almost distracts away from the image. And, like I almost like rather you know like I have heard dealer do the same thing. Like I just don't like checkerboarding. Like there's artifacting and it's obvious, like to me personally, but everyone views things differently. But to me personally, um it is very noticeable when it's moved. So that's why you're seeing, like, when you look at Quantum Break, you'll see, like, when things are moving, some things look really, really clean in quality, and you see some things where, like, there's almost like a little bit of an artifacting type thing going on, and you can literally play Quantum Break and see which things are, what assets are using checkerboarding and which are not. So
That's interesting, man. I actually I probably should have talked to you a little bit more about it because and we probably will at a later time as well because
it's been on my chest for a while. Like, I'm like, look, keep saying this, but it's, they want to simplify the argument between what both brands are doing, and that's why people are making a big deal out of it one way or another. So
I got you. Well, all in all, like I said, when it comes to Project Scorpio, and it's basically just a matter of time now before we get the unveiling and then games and announcements and stuff like that at E3. More and more information is going to come out. I know Crap Gamer has been on top of this whole thing. So if you really want to go in and see, any bits of information and stuff, definitely check out Crap Gamer's channel as well, because he has been on top of this like a maniac. But
Hey, can I ask a question real quick?
yeah, go ahead, man.
Hey, the way you said that the checkerboarding messes with the image, like it's kind of blurry. Does that affect the gameplay anyway? Like, does it, when you do
no,
the checkerboarding, does that add to the delay
no,
time
no,
for your
no,
television
no,
input?
not at all.
Okay,
No,
just wondering.
latency is latency regardless. So maybe with certain methods, it could. But at the end of the day, like, the game developer will figure all that stuff out, right?
All
That's
right.
part of game control and all that sort of stuff, and balancing.
Because
the
that's where I feel
graphics.
like it would matter. I mean,
All
if
right.
it's going to make the picture look decent, I don't really mind. But if it was to do something to that, then I would really be against it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just different methods of upscaling, was what we're talking about, right? Or
Right.
optimizing a certain amount of resources to make something look good. So
All right.
not everyone has the same opinion they're in the same field as me, right? I do the graphic side of things. So people talk to me about being a developer. I do my forte is the graphics portion of it, right? All the other stuff I do is secondary. So, like, when I create a model or a character or something like that, and I'm basically using these methods to make it look good on the screen, right?
Gotcha.
I have very strong opinions about some of this stuff, and some people don't have the same opinion. And they're trained professionals as well, and probably launch better titles than me. And then some that are very successful that actually 100% agree with me, right? So it's just, you get these different opinions. It depends on the assets, it depends on the game, it depends on a lot of varieties. But I'm not a big fan of checkerboarding on any platform, to be honest with you. So
A lot of developers aren't, from what I've read. So, I mean, the head of Dice were basically, shitting on
Shitting all over it, man.
yeah, they were shitting all over checkerboarding, and just we've heard a couple other rumblings from other developers. It's and then Don is a developer, so I definitely take his word for it than somebody that's in the media that just want to tout it like it's the best thing to slice bread. I do want to say this because I said this last night, and it was just me just bringing up speculation about the actual launch of the Scorpio, because it just makes sense, and it throws Sony into another crazy situation like it did last year with the Xbox One S. I said last night on GRG that it would make sense, and it seems like it could happen this way. Like, okay, Shadows of War, right? It's coming out August 22nd. I think that the Scorpio is going to come out in August. I really do. Just for the mere fact, why would you want to present your game on the lesser console when the bigger console, to show all of everything that it has, is available? You can at launch with the Scorpio. Then also look at how well that the Xbox One S sold in August. Like, they had like different tiers. They had different they had different price points. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Xbox with Scorpio, is that there's going to be a lower price point, and then there's going to be a higher price point. I think there's going to be different SKUs. I think it's going to I think it's going to look a lot similar in just to what the Xbox One S is. It's just that's going to be a little bit bigger, maybe more stylish looking. But I actually think that it would make a lot of sense if you want to show what this thing can actually do. Bring out your very first 4K title, Shadows of War, at launch at the same time or around the same time that at the same time in August, and there's no competition.
There's some rumors to support that already. I guess I don't know if
Really?
you listened to your boy Crap. Yeah, talk to your boy Crap.
Well,
He's
Crap.
been-
Well, what Crap said about the SKUs, this is what I was going to say with Mega. Like, Crap has been saying multiple SKUs kind of almost from the beginning when it came to Project Scorpio. I think he said a $399 variant and then a $499 variant, because I've been saying 500 for the Scorpio from the beginning. And
Yeah, I've been saying 400 for Scorpio as well, like that 399 price point. We'll find out who's wrong at the end. But Crap's also been talking about release dates, just recently, like just today.
nice.
Really? Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah, so
like I said, this is just me just speculating. It would be perfect because you have no competition. Only game that really comes out in August is Madden, and you got this game, because I thought it was really weird because when the last Shadows of Mordor came out, it came out in November. It came out October, November. And I was like, damn, that's kind of odd for just to have an August title, because this is a big game. If you've seen the gameplay and actually played the game is a true masterpiece. I even say that,
crazy.
because
It looks
yeah,
crazy.
it's bananas. And what drives me, God of War, the new God of War that's coming out has me nervous. It has me seriously nervous because I do not like this aspect of this little kid being involved unless you're killing off Kratos and this kid takes over Kratos' spot. If this kid is lingering around you all the time, it's going to be more story driven, and that's not got more action packed. And I think that these guys is working with this game is making that game more story driven, like The Last of Us. I know that Last of Us has action in it, but God of War is like super action, and
Button smasher.
Yeah, it's a button smasher. And you take that away, you're going to turn a lot of people off that are real big fans of God of War, me included. And Shadows of Mordor is in a position to me be that game that is a button masher, that has a great story and looks insane. So I don't know. I think that the Scorpio and Xbox, this whole the Shadows of War and Xbox doing that, I think it would be genius. Don't know if they'll do it, but I don't know.
I mean, you would say God of War is kind of a wait and see what the direction they're going with it, right?
Right. Yeah, it just makes me nervous. I know that graphically it's beautiful. The whole different mythology where they're going with that. The NORAD, that's cool. That's cool. That, like, when he beat the shit out of that Billy Goat's Gruff, that troll, that's cool. I got it. That looks awesome. But is this game going to be going to give you the same feel of what all the rest of the God of Wars? Because nobody ever complains about the controls,
Man.
or the brutality or the brutalness of the game.
I'm completely opposite
give
with
us a
you
new-
there, because that game looks better to me the way that it is now, what they're showing now at least. I don't know why, I just feel like I might be my first game that actually has me buy my PS4.
Well,
That's
Foos,
cool.
were you a fan of like God of War throughout the other iterations in the past, or?
Nah, I wasn't. I'm not really a buttons like Dynasty Warriors and even Devil May Cry. I didn't really get into them that much. It was just a lot of button smashing to me.
So you could see, because I believe Mega was you were a God of War fan throughout the past iterations of the title.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I'm a huge God of War fan. Yeah.
So you could kind of see the difference there, where like more of a traditionalist when it comes to God of War and what that game had to offer is a little bit skeptical about the new one coming out. But then somebody who wasn't a real fan of the whole button mashing,
That yellow ass.
from the previous titles will now be a little more interested in a more story-driven God of War. That's a very interesting dynamic there, because when you have a successful franchise, and you can just ask 343 about this, when you have a successful franchise, what do you do to keep the game and the franchise fresh, but still hold on to that element and that structure that, fans of that franchise are used to? You see what I'm saying? So,
I see what you're saying, but for me and a lot of other people, because I'm not the only one that said this about this new look of God of War. It's don't look, I understand making some changes, I get that, but it's not. But God of War is not. It's mindless. It's mindless craziness, and I'd hate to make the. Okay, I'm having a problem talking today.
it's all good, man.
Okay. Basically, the stories of all the God of Wars were actually really, really good. All of them. They had really deep, rich stories. It really just took you to a whole nother world. It's just that the action in those all those God of Wars was just so intense and so insane. It just why would you take that away? Now, I'm like I said, this game could still be the same. It's just got a different look to it. But because it's drawn down like that, it seems like they want you to be immersed into a more story-driven game than going in gun-ho. And that's going to be an ultimate turnoff for me, because there's so many games that wants to take that route. Don't change God of War. That would be ridiculous to me.
See, I can kind of see what you're saying, Mega, and I believe you got some pretty valid kind of like concerns. I just don't think we know where the story is going. Like what we all saw in terms of gameplay with God of War could have been the very beginning, just to solidify the fact that now he has a son. Something could happen to where his son gets taken away and he has to go ape shit crazy, kind of like what from the past titles, to like get him back and something like that. So I see your concerns, and I guess we're just gonna have to wait to see, like, kind of like what the story entails and what direction they're really trying to go with the franchise, because it could be the fact that by the end of this new God of War, Kratos could be dead and his son could be taken over. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that would be cool. That would be fine. That would be fine. That would be fine with me.
Or his son could die, and that's what causes him to go away from being so zen. You know what I mean? So,
right.
like you have to have a story-driven narrative for him to lose his shit again. You know what I mean? And you also have this might not even be the same Kratos, right? Because it's a whole different mythology with what you're seeing with God of War and stuff like that. So like, it's a wait and see for me. Like, it definitely is on my radar. I'm very positive. I understand like people's qualms about it, because it is a departure from everything from camera angle to the tone to how it started off and all that sort of stuff. So I get everyone's concerns, but yeah, definitely just like there's certain things you just gotta have to like wait and see, and see where it goes before you judge, right? Like I was very much a wait and see on Horizon Zero Dawn, and look at Bot early on. He was like, hell no.
I said hunting a microwave in the forest, and I don't get it. Like, I remember
exactly.
that.
But now you're kind of into it, right? And you didn't do it just because Phil said. You did it because there's some other story elements and other gameplay elements that came to light finally.
Well, Rad Brad.
Yeah.
I was watching the gameplay, and I think what it was is the whole kind of like story of the outcast. When you saw like this little baby was considered an outcast, and they didn't really tell you why in the beginning, and she's being taken care of this guy who is an outcast, and like the story kind of brought me into it. And I know a lot of people talked about the voice acting and stuff like that, but that those beginning levels, see, those beginnings will bring you into your immersion. You see what I'm saying? Like they're the introduction to the game, and if they can catch you in the beginning the way that Horizon caught me in the beginning, you want to go through that game. You want to go through that story. And even if all of a sudden the voice acting just falls off a cliff somewhere, you still want to see the ending to that game.
But the point is, your opinion changed, right?
Oh, definitely.
When a given time and you've got a chance to get a better perspective on that. So that's why I'm saying, like, games that have lineage, or like studios that have lineage, or like on the verge of being the next big studio, right? Because there's a lot of studios that they're on that verge, right? So coming in with an open mind, it's okay to have reserves and go, "Well, I don't know about that," but just don't write it off too much. Just kind of wait and see where it kind of goes. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to be a happier gamer regardless of what you get. So
Nice.
It's a good game. It's a really good game. Like it's PlayStation's best. It's PlayStation 4's best game this generation, hands down. It's a good game.
It's
a good,
just who
solid game.
made the game that scared the shit out of everybody. It was like, oh, this is gonna suck, dude.
But
Well,
that was a justified concern, though. All right, I mean they hired like one new writer during the development of this game, and for people who know Guerrilla, like the graphics are gonna come out good. It's everything else that falls apart around a Guerrilla game. You know what I'm saying? And one of the biggest things that falls apart around a Guerrilla game is the story. Like, I mean, we could just be honest with that, and that's the way it is. So the concerns were definitely justified, and I think they actually found like kind of like a genre or a niche that really agrees with their development team when it comes to Horizon. I don't know.
well, they're not shoehorned into a first person shooter to compete with Halo, right? Like that they didn't have that pedigree. They never did, right? So you're basically shoving a square peg into a round hole, and they're a talented team, and that was not the right move as a publisher, to be honest with you. So
I got you. Mega, you wanted to say something about the whole Guerrilla Games thing?
no, I just wanted to say that that I was going to say because they're talking about
they're talking about Rise in the chat. I'm thinking about that as well,
I'm
man.
all for that, man. I've said it before, man. If Microsoft slips up and let Rise, go multiplat or just let it fall to the wayside because of whatever stupid reason, it would be a huge mistake. I would definitely be upset about that because I mean, I think Xbox needs that type of game, that genre of game, and also to compete with like the God of War. It's got that same similarity. It just isn't it wasn't, it's a launch title, so it wasn't in a huge scale. But for a game to be a launch title and as good as that story was, regardless of the few flaws that it had, man, I could just imagine what they could bring out. But no, Horizon Zero Dawn, man, is a really good game. Guerrilla did a fantastic job. It makes me even excited about what Playground Games is going to do with them stepping out of the
racing
Forza
element,
Horizon,
the racing
franchise.
element.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited to see what they can do. I mean, you got to give PlayStation kudos for letting them go out and do something different, because the Killzone thing, it's a hit and a miss. A lot of times it's a miss. You cannot, like Don said, you can't make something to destroy Halo. Halo's not going anywhere. Halo is one of the trademark games of our lifetime. So there's no way of shutting that down.
The character of Master Chief, when you talk about Halo, and if you go around like GameStops or you go and talk to people who are in Target, like in the video game section and stuff like that, Master Chief's name is right up there with Mario, with Zelda. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Right.
that franchise.
The Rushmore. That's what I call them. The Rushmore.
Exactly. It's not going anywhere. And like for anybody who would to think like anything different about that, you're like, what games do you have that compete with Mario or Zelda? There's no competition there. And
Sonic was the only competition at one point in time.
That was in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning. But I mean, Sonic had a strong run during the Sega Genesis days.
Oh yeah,
it
did. Was huge.
And it does bring a good point. Like Sony doesn't really have a true
Rushmore
mascot, right?
Yeah.
They don't.
I mean, you can't go into GameStop and say Nathan Drake and everybody knows who that is.
Yeah, I mean, half the people in that store just turn around. What? Me?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Listen, guys, I think that everybody just needs to play some Zelda.
Oh,
I was wondering what she was going to say.
My goodness, I did not.
I've been in between work, waiting for a chance to speak here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
What's up, Snap?
Up, Snaps.
Chilling, working.
Do you,
Decided to stop in and say hi.
Nice. So
Nice.
everybody should play Zelda. That's it right now. That is the game, right?
Absolutely, that game is amazing.
Where should we play it? The Wii U or the Switch?
Oh, Wii U, because if you don't have a Switch, you ain't getting a Switch anytime soon. I want a Switch.
So some say it's a legend of Zelda. Is it legend category or not?
I mean, I don't know yet. I haven't completed the game.
But yeah,
Carry on, guys. Carry on.
it's all good. Like we kind of drifted off topic here and whatnot, but I think we got into like Horizon and everything like that. So why don't we get into this whole big thing where there was Xbox employees lately, like kind of like on Twitter, and they were really kind of going out of their way, and they were promoting games like Horizon Zero Dawn. They were promoting Zelda Breath of the Wild. You saw a lot of them tweeting about the Switch and stuff like that. And within the Xbox community, like it did kind of ruffle a lot of feathers and stuff. And I don't know how much time we're gonna have Snaps here. So I'm actually gonna start with you. Snaps, what did you think about like these Xbox employees and how they were really promoting like the Sony exclusive Horizon, how they were promoting Zelda and Switch? Did it rub you the wrong way? Did you have any feelings like good or bad towards it?
I'm gonna need you to repeat the question, sir.
It's about basically the Xbox employees, how they were kind of like promoting the Horizon, the Switch, and Zelda. Like, did that kind of rub you the wrong way on Twitter?
No, not at all. I mean, it's good to have competition, friendly competition, and all that good stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it's like congratulating the next person for doing a good job and not hating on them. You know, it's like being a positive. I don't know, like I can't think right now, but it's like good sportsmanship in a sense. Like, don't be a sore loser. Like, they're not losers at all. But what I'm saying is like, you know, like they care about the others, and in a nice way, it's kind of shoving one at them, saying, "Hey, look, we're the good guys here."
Nice.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of showing that integrity, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That class.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you could be facetious about it and be like, haha, you know, you guys did a great job. You could rub it in their face, or you could also actually genuinely mean it. It's kind of however you perceive it, but I think it's awesome that they do that.
Nice. I'm not sure. I think me and you kind of had like a difference of opinion on this. What do you think about like the whole Xbox employees and stuff kind of going out of their way to promote Horizon, Zelda, Switch? You had a lot of employees from Xbox that were really going hard on Twitter and stuff like that. What did you think, man? Oh, here we go.
How's that?
Yeah, I don't.
What's going on?
I have no idea.
Satan?
See?
I think Mega's possessed right now.
That's really creepy, actually.
He's lost his shit.
He's the gatekeeper.
Not the keymaster.
Wow. Dude.
I think his shit's messed up now.
Are you?
Yeah, he's trying to talk, and that's just how he sounds now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm officially creeped out.
Megan has gone to Hades.
Is he back? No.
No, it's not.
Dude, I
While
don't
we
know.
wait for K Mega, what's up with your icon, Xbot? It's completely green with a little person.
What happened?
What's up with your icon? It doesn't show Xbot 448. It shows a green thing on my phone anyway.
I have no.
It's working for me.
I have no
Yeah, it's
idea.
all good. It's working on this end. It's no big deal.
Must be an iPhone thing. Anyway. Mega, I don't know what you did, man, but you gotta undo that. Dude.
What is going on?
That's really creepy, guys.
Oh my goodness, hold on. No, Mega, it's not working, man. I don't know. All right.
You tell you asked the question. Still, he's like, what?
All right. Well, Mega muted himself. Let's move on. Yo, Foos, what did you think about like the whole idea of these these Xbox employees really going out and promoting like Horizon Zero Dawn, the new Zelda, even the Switch, the new piece of hardware from Nintendo. Like they were out on Twitter in pretty much full force, man. What did you think about that? Oh my goodness.
Nah, I'm not gonna send that shit to Hades. But they're all gamers, dude, and it shows right there. I mean, they're not a part of the console war as much as we are, and they are the company that's fighting the war. So it just shows you the class that Microsoft has, shows you that they're all gamers. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of a cool thing that they do that.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, yo, Don, what do you think? Because you said you were kind of like in between me and K Mega on this. I want to hear what you think about this situation, man.
Yeah, I think the way they went about it is pretty heavy-handed. Of them just trying to say congratulations, and I think there's a classy way of doing it, and still appeasing the wider audience that buys your products, if you know what I mean. And it's simple. Like if you want to do it in a tweet form, that's fine. If you want to do one small congratulation, that's fine. And you do it in the sense of as Xbox as a whole, not all the individual people that work there. Does that make sense? Because that encompasses everybody in the messaging of that company, right? Like congratulations
Oh,
to
goodness.
yeah, it's K-Mega probably. Congratulations to Nintendo. But in the same token, you also have a game that you released, right? That you have studio that worked really hard. It's actually a third party partnership to make a exclusive title that you guys own, right? And you gotta think about the bigger picture and some of the other people you affect by doing this sort of stuff. Like, how do you think those guys felt? Like, yes, they have
Oh,
they have all this other advertising and stuff like that going on. But at the end of the day, do they really feel like the Xbox higher ups had their back? It can leave them feeling bad in regards to that, and it can affect future partnerships with that studio. That's not a good thing. So those are two perfect examples of that sort of thing. Now, another thing is you got guys that basically bought Xboxes. There's millions of us out there, right? You know, some of those guys are exclusive gamers. Some of those guys are, they own multiple consoles, and that's fine too as well. But the people that bought exclusive gaming or that it is their premier console, those sort of things, um, they don't have very many places to go to keep getting positive news about their purchase in regards to it. And I don't think it's not about throwing shade or anything like that, but they just don't have those places to go, right? You can't go to an IG and expect positive news when there is positive news out there to be found, right? You can't go to places like GameSpot. You can't go to places like Kotaku, right? So the only thing they really got left is the higher ups at Microsoft and us YouTubers, right? The select YouTubers that people and personalities they find out there, right? And when Microsoft goes so heavily handed on that, you've taken away an outlet from them to feel good about their purchase in regards to that. So these are the things that I feel like it wasn't done in good taste, right? Now, I do feel like there's probably something going behind the scenes between Nintendo and Microsoft to be that heavy-handed, and I get that as well. But that happens in other industries, and I'm going to use the car industry for a perfect example. The car industry constantly does partnerships with other brands, right? But they don't talk up those other brands when it comes game time to releasing their new product for that calendar year, right? They do help out those brands. They don't talk shit or anything like that. They just talk about their points of what they do and what they offer. Microsoft wants to extend past that. That's great. But do it in a way that's courteous to your core audience, to the casual audience, right? And if there's a partnership behind the scenes in a partnership way, and I just don't feel like they hit that mark, and I don't think they understand that mark, and it's kind of comes down to one of the weaknesses Microsoft kind of has had since the beginning of their launch, which is messaging, right? They may have the best intentions, but I don't think their messaging is on point.
Now, listen,
Oh,
that Don did it the nice way. See, I was sending everybody on this panel to Hades except Don, because let me break this down to you. See, Don did it nice and elegant. He did it the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to bring it through. I'm bringing the real shit. Look, I love Microsoft. I love Xbox. I have, you know what I'm saying? It's the best console out this gen. I bleed green. But come on. I've said this all over the place, and I'm saying it here. You don't see an employee from McDonald's and McDonald's exec tweeting how much he likes the Whopper Jr. or chicken fries from Burger King. You don't see that, because you know what? It's going to make people want chicken fries.
Different industry, man. Different industry.
No, that's where you make the mistake. No, these are Fortune 500 companies, bruh. These are Fortune 500 companies. They are all built to make money. And it's just like Don said, developers, they've put their blood, sweat, and tears behind these games. And if they go out and they're over here like Dead Rising 4, for instance. Dead Rising 4 rarely gets talked about. And then we ask these questions, why Xbox doesn't have a lot of Japanese support. It's because of shit like that. Capcom, those people that made Dead Rising 4 and made it exclusive for Xbox, expect them to tout that game and to throw it into and to hold it up as a good game as it is. I mean, looking at Don's gameplay, it's fun as hell. I have the game. I haven't really got the chance to sink my teeth into it yet, but now I got to play it now, because for what I've seen from other than Don and other people, Xbox should be given, for every one fucking tweet that Xbox gives positive for everybody else, they should have at least 2 to 5 tweets talking positive about their own brand. It's about confidence. It's about esteem. And if you don't have enough confidence about what you have, and you want to brag about what everybody else has, that's going to lower the confidence and the drive from the fan base that you have already. You always have to have that your fan base behind you 100%.
So let me ask you this, K-Mega. So it's outside of that, but you want to talk up your own stuff, but it doesn't mean you should have to talk shit about.
No, I didn't say anything about talking shit. Yeah,
so I want you to clarify that, because I think a lot of times people will jump to that conclusion when you say stuff like that, right? So
no, but but see, what Naps and what Bot was talking about earlier and Foosk, that's some old weak shit. That's the reason why we have right now, like, competition's good, it's all right. Like when we go see kids go play t-ball or go play football or basketball, and then the kids that lose get a trophy for participating. Bullshit. Get your punk ass up and go get your skills up so you can win the trophy and be number one. There is no consolation prize here. It's only the one first place, and that's it. I don't care about second place. I care about first place. And if Xbox wants to be first, and if they wants to be in this console competition, then they got to be hungry for it. It's all right to say, hey, look, I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I love Bloodborne. I like these games. It's all right for that. But damn it, I want to see a hell of a lot more love for other games that's out there. Halo Wars 2 advertising was fantastic, but everybody else from the staff wasn't really giving no love to Halo Wars 2, and Halo Wars 2 is an amazing game. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of this. I want to stream. I want to stream whatever PlayStation game is out right now. Yeah. Fuck that. Stream Gears 4 right now. Then go do a secret stream of some Horizon shit. Do that. Don't do that. Build the base. The base is what's driving the Xbox brand. you cater to them first because everybody else caters to their own first.
Well, and there's also something to be said, like, a lot of times when people say, like, when we say stick up for your own brand, people automatically assume where you trash on the other brand, and that's not a pro move either, right? Because if you trash on another brand, realistically, what you're doing is you're hurting the potential for those customers that might be interested in yours, right? Because you're offending their purchases. So it's not a pro thing to hate like on another brand either, right? It didn't work out well for Sega, didn't work out well for 3DO or Atari in the history. And those are all brands that talk shit on their competitors, right? So, the one of the few that's still around is Nintendo because they took the higher ground and didn't talk shit, right? But if you stay too meek and you stay in your own world too much, man, then you end up like Nintendo, and no one wants to be that.
Right. Well, okay, let me just make this point as well. It seems to me from what I see the tweets, like there was this one chick, I can't think of her name. She was showing the Xbox sign in the background, and she was talking about the Switch.
The
And she
Albion
was
girl.
saying, what's her
Wasn't that
name?
Shannon?
Albion girl.
Yeah, Albion girl.
Okay.
And she was holding the Switch and saying the Switch is there's a bit of sunlight gleaming on the Switch. You know what? Look, it's funny. I'm kind of like, all right, that's a little much, but that's all right. That's great. But you know what? I don't see you doing that with holding up an elite controller or something. I mean, come on. I understand that there's burnout. But if you show that burnout to your fan base, they're going to have the burnout too. That's why we have so many people that get confused and then they jump over and be with the PlayStation side because they're more solid over there. PlayStation's a bunch of assholes. This is the thing. Xbox, the whole story of nice guys end up last. Well, Xbox is doing this nice guy thing, and they're not getting the same love or justification. While PlayStation is being complete jerks to everybody, they get all the love from the media. They get love from people when they go in the stores, from GameStop and other places. While Xbox is over here trying to cater to everybody, say, look, we enjoy all gaming. You should too. And where do you go when you walk into GameStop? Oh, you don't want that 720p machine. You want the PlayStation 4. That's the real gaming system. So that nice guy attitude, it's all well and good, but it's not going to get you to where you want to be. If Xbox, see, this is the thing that I fear. If Xbox is going to be content with being second place, then they're going to turn out just like what Nintendo is doing, is being content on being pretty much irrelevant. Even though this Switch is selling, but I will agree with Z on this aspect, is that after so long, people are going to get tired of it. And that's not what you want from Microsoft, who if they wanted to, could squeeze the life out of Sony and destroy them if they wanted to. But they want that competition. Well, then just fight for the number one spot. That's all I'm saying. Show more dedication to your own product first, then show love to everything else secondary.
Well, and they've had problems too. Back when Ballmer was and those guys were in charge and stuff like that. Like they had a little bit more of that. You use our products, only our products. Such a crazy extreme. It really pushed out potential partnerships. Like, Microsoft tried to buy out Sony and Nintendo, and those deals didn't go through. And it's probably because of the culture of the company at that time, right? They were such, bullies, not really bullies, but you know what I mean? They had that cultural hardcore mentality about you only use Microsoft products, if you work for Microsoft, right? So that caused a lot of issues, and honestly, it's what caused one of the main things that caused Sony to leave, not Sony, but Bungie to leave Microsoft, because they actually wanted to use other pieces of hardware for different things. So it's good they're expanding their horizons, but they're going a little heavy-handed on. I really feel like it's just
All right. Well, I can agree. I can agree on the heavy-handed when you hear about streaming and stuff like that. Oh, like I can't wait to stream like Horizon here or stuff like that. I can see that. I also see it as kind of a strategic move because this is not something that has been so quote unquote heavy-handed uh throughout this entire generation when it comes to Microsoft. Have they congratulated Sony and Nintendo on certain things? Yes, they have. But it's been really crazy within this last like month or so. Just say. Um, to me, I think it's a strategic move, and it's something that I actually like because they're showing their integrity as a company, and they're showing their love for games in general. And it's something that you're not getting from Sony. And I
That's
think
soft, bot.
hold on, man. Let me finish. I let you
I
finish.
just said that's soft. That's all I want to
Yeah,
say.
but here's the deal. You have unannounced games coming up. You have new hardware coming up. And
Mhm.
I don't think this is going to be the norm. I think they're going to solidify the whole idea of integrity with them as a company and their love for games in general. And then when their new hardware is unveiled, the newer games are announced, then I see Microsoft going in full steam on their promotion for their stuff, for their new console, for their new games. And I see it as like they're cementing themselves in the community as having a love for games in general, and then they're gonna come out like swinging. And I don't
So
mean
you're
negatively
saying
swinging.
that you don't want them to look like they're kicking a bunny.
Exactly. They're showing the fact that they love the gaming space in general, right? But when it comes down to it, and they show their new hardware, they have their they finally announced these titles that they've been talking about. You go through E3 and you have your showcase and stuff. Then it's all out Xbox, Microsoft all the way through. All right, and I think that is a good move. I think that is a very good move. All right, I've seen a lot of gamers out there actually give props to Xbox for talking about Zelda, for talking about the Switch, and saying, "Wow, damn, like not for anything, but I don't see any other company doing that." And I think that's a
Mhm.
good thing for the long run. It might
While
not be a good
Xbox has
thing
lost
for.
MPD again for another month.
But dude, what is MPD? Do you believe the
I
Wii?
don't
Hold
care
on,
about
hold
the
on, hold on,
MPD,
hold on,
but
hold
what
on,
I do.
hold on. I got a question. I got a question for you, man. All right, MPD. So you believe the Wii won last generation hands down, right?
No, I'm saying for
I'm
the
just
fact
saying.
that look, there is a huge discrepancy in the sales between the PlayStation and the Xbox One because of the Xbox One indecisiveness. If Xbox came out a little bit more aggressive like they did with the 360, then a lot more people would gravitate to the Xbox One brand. If they thought about taking care of number one first, they would have went ahead and dropped the price of the Xbox instead of thinking about during the Matrix era being big headed. Oh, we did everything that we supposed to do. Now we can go ahead and gouge the shit out of people and then give $100 extra price, and PlayStation undercut their ass. That's what I'm talking about. PlayStation thought about nothing but the sanctity of PlayStation. And Xbox was trying to go, at one point with Matrix, trying to be aggressive and hard, and then they got slapped in the face. Phil comes in and he's trying to change everything and try to come with this nice tone.
And he's
And
doing it.
PlayStation has been aggressive,
And
and
he's
it's
he's
changed. It's
but
changed now.
he's doing it. Do you expect uh with the amount of consoles supposedly sold between
Mhm.
Sony and Microsoft, do you really expect such a large swing to all of a sudden completely swing around and have Microsoft all of a sudden like outselling Sony like that? Do you really?
No, that's not no, that's not my point. It's that look, okay, Phil, you coming in, you're taking over. We understand that you had a load to take over, and you've done a fantastic job of turning the Xbox brand around. But what I'm saying now is that after you've done all of this to turn the Xbox brand around, the Xbox One S was the hottest commodity out. Now you're going to revert back to being, let's be nice. PlayStation is not going to be nice to you. Nintendo, yeah, y'all have some kind of thing going on that's great and well and good, but you know what? I don't see Nintendo giving you any props except for one time, and that was for being 15 years old. I don't see Nintendo execs going out there showing and touting any Xbox games, and I don't see any PlayStation people going out there celebrating Xbox games. You know why? Because their ass would probably be fired if they did. And it's not about having integrity. This is a business, and it's all about, you know what I'm saying, and Microsoft can try to show all the integrity that they want, but at the end of the day, it's about making money and about gaining.
There's Fortune 500 companies out there that are spending millions of dollars with advertisement companies trying to show them to have integrity. Like that. See, that's there's another side to that coin there as well, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to just say this last point, and I'm going to let you go on. Okay, integrity is to show the loyalty to the people that bust their ass and make your exclusive games. That's the integrity that you should be. The Xbox should be caring about. Recore is a fantastic game. It did not get any advertisement. Quantum Break was a marvelous, fantastic game. They shitted on the advertising. They shitted on not bringing that game, to not shove that game down people's throat. And look at what's going on with Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive is a fantastic game. And you know what Microsoft, you know what Insomniac is saying? Microsoft, we're trying to give you the opportunity to make an Insomniac 2.
All developers do that. All developers fish for it with their publishers.
I know that, Don, but I'm saying
you can't count that one against them.
What I'm saying is that I know that they're trying to make a pitch, but what the problem is that for the gamers that want that game to stay on that platform, and Microsoft has all this money. And I understand that they're under a budget, but come on, give the fans what they want. That's integrity. That's the integrity that Microsoft need to be thinking about, is about their fan base. Instead of thinking about, we have to have a budget or we have to cater to other people. Care about the people that spent their hard-earned fucking dollars for your product.
Yo, I understand that, Mega, but you were just talking about MPDs and stuff like that. And to talk about like hardware sales is to talk about new consumers, people buying Xbox hardware. All right,
well, I'm
and
saying
to do that, you gotta show like love for the gaming industry as well. What I think's going on here, like I said, like if they don't really go and do a heavy promotion on their product, going from E3 and beyond, then I can definitely see what you're saying. All right,
okay.
but as far as but as far as what is going on now, I can see that as a strategic move to show people that they are a company giving more, giving something different than what the other companies are giving. And I think in the long run, that'll attract developers as well as consumers. You see what I'm saying? It is a marathon. It is not a sprint. All right. I don't think that Microsoft is looking to take over NPD sales.
We're up to 94.
That like that. Not, you don't. I don't. I hate when people really hate on another platform when they're a platform provider. Like, just focus on getting your shit done and get your shit done right, and then then I'll hear you out, right? But when they're putting more effort in people that are just other platforms versus their own, I look at that. I'm looking at my game. I'm like, what platform do I provide my game on? I don't know which one I'm going to provide it on first, to be honest with you. It may be PlayStation. These sort of practices, makes me question. It makes me question. Now, I don't want, it will make me question just as much if they start hating on the other, other platforms as well. I don't want to be part of that either, right? So, everyone's watching what they're doing right now. And everyone's got a different opinion on it. And there's a fine line they're walking there. I just feel like it's just so heavy-handed on trying to look like the nice guy that it comes off fake sometimes. Even.
I can see that to a certain extent. But go ahead, Foos.
I mean, maybe it's not all about integrity or the business aspect about it. Maybe, I mean, we know Phil and them aren't really a big fan of the console war. Maybe they're just trying to like ease that kind of tension with us, you
Hmm.
know.
But you can't control that, though, can you? I
No,
mean,
you can't.
realistically, I think people are going to be, zealots regardless of
Mhm.
what you do. I mean, you can set the best example, and I think, honestly, I think one of the reasons why Xbox Live is evolved into a good place to game and be in party chats and even Next and other podcasts and stuff like that where we associate with one another, it really is because of a good example. I think him and this team has done. Like, there's a lot of positives that I have for that. You know, talking shit is just as bad as not talking up your own shit. Like, they're both bad. You know what I mean?
I got you, and
Right.
I see this point in time. I mean, we had one exclusive come out, which was Halo Wars 2, which is a real time strategy, which a lot of people know is kind of like a niche kind of like category in terms of a game, right? I mean, is it going to sell
But
well?
so is Neho. Stop making excuses, bot.
How much is Sony really?
Shit.
How much is Sony actually promoting Niho?
Sony. You know what? Sony's people have promoted the hell out of that, out of Neho, and the media had. They don't. Sony don't really. That's
But
the
see
whole
that
thing about
the
the
media
power of what
is a
Sony's doing.
third party in this. The
The
media is a
media.
third party in this. Like you can't
Mm.
expect Xbox as a company to try to take that media wave that we know has been pro Sony and try to tackle it themselves. You can't expect them to do that.
I
All right?
know, but that's the whole point. It's like, okay, it's a discussion that me and Don has had, and we were just basically coming to the thought of that maybe Microsoft is trying to cater to the media to make them like them a little bit more,
Eh.
and has it worked? No. And you know what? And every time something positive, if you notice, every time that something positive comes up about the Scorpio or anything Xbox, it's always shitted on by something by what PlayStation or Nintendo is doing, and it doesn't get the same type of love.
By the
Look,
media.
that's by the media and by just public perception. That's the whole thing that I'm saying. Halo Wars, you just made the point for me. Halo Wars 2 is the only exclusive out for Xbox right now. And you know what? You barely hear anything about it. While PlayStation has these niche, unwanted games that they don't even buy, except for Horizon Zero Dawn and some people bought Neho, but Neho is a niche title. Not a lot of people like playing those Dark Soul type of games, but because of the media and because
No, Dark Soul
of their
games
fan
sold they
base.
sold well. Like
Well, I know you saying, "Oh well," but that's the whole
I said, they
thing.
sold well. Dark Souls games sell well. They
Okay,
do.
but
So you
you know
can't
what?
say like
But
not a
this is
lot
the
of
thing.
people.
People got caught up into the trap. People went ahead and bought Neho, and it made it look like they sold a whole bunch and everybody loved it. And now you starting to hear people say, man, I thought that game was shit. That game wasn't hot. I sent that shit back immediately. I traded and got Wildlands, or I got something else.
Mm.
Because you know why? Because PlayStation knows how to cater to their fan base. If Xbox was going to show that same love to Halo Wars 2, people would have been buying that game in droves. And if they didn't like it, they didn't like it. But I guarantee you, because it was a strategy type game, RTS, they kind of just like, we don't,
But see,
we'll just
I kind of like, not for anything, if their expectations weren't like to the highest level when it comes to Halo Wars 2, because they are within the gaming community, because they realize RTSs sell to a certain type of gamer and stuff like that. I actually like being a part of that community that recognizes the landscape of the gaming industry and such, and they will put forth what they need to put forth. Now, do I think they should have promoted Halo Wars 2 more? Definitely. All right. I feel like
That's all I'm saying.
they could have put the tweets out there for Halo Wars 2 as much as they put out for Zelda, as much as they put out for Horizon. But I do like the fact that they did do that. I do like the fact that they are showing themselves to be a bigger part of the gaming industry and not just completely caring about what's under the Microsoft and Xbox umbrella. I like being a part of that community. I like supporting a company that does stuff like that. I don't like cutthroat. One of the reasons why I went and said stuff about Sony was their guerrilla advertisement tactics, their cutthroat tactics, and they're lying to consumers for being so cutthroat.
So
see what
Bot,
I'm
let me
saying?
ask you like a totally honest question here. Do you think Microsoft's approach right now is it balanced?
I think when we look over time, it will be. As of right now, like I said, should they have promoted Halo Wars 2 more? Yes. All right, I will definitely agree with that. But I don't think it would take away
So
any
you're
of the
saying
other tweets.
you're saying as of right now you don't think it was balanced, right?
Um, it's a little heavy on kind of like promoting
Yeah.
other platforms, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing right now when you look at the type of year that Xbox is setting up for. Like I said, they want to show that they are a part of the gaming
No,
industry.
I think this is a good thing to revisit later, right? Like when we come back to it, just like you feel like it's a little heavy-handed. I definitely feel it's heavy-handed. I know how K Mega feels about it. He feels way more passionately than even all three of us.
Like I
But
said, I like what they're doing right now, though.
so let me ask Fuski this.
Look at this gameplay. Look at this Halo Wars 2 gameplay. This
The
shit
thing-
should be given a lot more love than what the hell Xbox has been giving.
but
This goddamn game is fantastic.
but Foos, do you feel it's balanced what we got right now? Far as from his ex and how they're.
I mean, I
managing
can
it?
see where it kind of feels unbalanced, but at the same time, you got to look at the game that came out. If Zelda wouldn't have come out and it was just them talking about Horizon, would we have the same conversation? Like, I mean,
Well,
I'm sure
like
we
I
might say
really
something
want to
about
have
it.
I really want to have this conversation like post E3 and
Right.
see where things are at. To be
That
honest
is
with
a
you.
great idea, by the way, because like you can approach it now when they're doing like what I think they're doing, which is a strategy with them. It's showing that, like I said, they look at the gaming industry and they're gonna celebrate games that come out that are good. You know what I'm saying? Like Zelda, to me,
Well, they grew
Zelda
up on Zelda,
Zelda's
just like us.
this new Zelda is awesome. Like in terms of the art style, I'm not really big on the art style, but the gameplay just takes you over. Like I've played it I've played it somewhat, right? And I've watched Snaps play it a lot more. And dude, it's even entertaining to watch somebody play that game. That's how good that game is. And that's one of those scales that I look at as well. It's like it's really fun to play. You get really immersed. But if you're like that second person, like and you don't have the controller in your hand, like how much do you get into the game as that person? And I still get into that game even when Snaps is playing it. It's a really good game. And
Well, but let's revisit this later. Like seriously after E3, and I wanted everyone to just kind of hear our take on where we're at right now and see if it's changed, right? Or or if our opinions have changed, or if we've even feel more passionately about where it's at right now. So
yeah, definitely. It's definitely something good to go back and you know get on that topic again at a later date when especially when I feel like there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a shift in the promo and stuff like that, and it's going to really be focused with in-house new hardware, new games, new exclusives, Fable reboot, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of stuff to promote after E3, and I think they're just getting their chance to promote quality games on different platforms now because they know it's going to be all Xbox from E3 on out. Yeah. Um, but with that being said, I do want to give my boy the Don his time to shine because if you follow the next podcast, you know that the Don actually went to GDC a couple weeks ago, which stands for I believe it's Game Developers Conference.
that's
And
100% correct.
and it's a conference where a bunch of developers go in and they talk about kind of like the future of game development. It's not just consoles either. Am I right, Don? It's like consoles, PC.
Yeah, it's just all game development. It's like sharing. It's not so much sharing trade secrets, but it's a time where like people put down their walls to kind of just help one another, help boost people up.
Nice,
Is the best way to kind of describe it. So
nice. Now, first of all, did you have fun, man? Was how was the
yeah,
experience, dude?
I was so busy, I didn't realize I was having fun until I was almost home. No, I did have a blast for sure. It's an interesting thing. Like people talk about GDC. It's a game developers conference, so you have these pictures in your head. And as somebody who does development, I have my own pictures in my head, but they're not even close to what like reality is. It is literally the vitamin B shot to the industry. And the way I just kind of describe this is, when you're artist of any type, musician, somebody that draws or whatever, there's a process of you try to make the best possible thing, and then you analyze it, you break it down, you realize where you can do improvements, and you tear it back down, and then you rebuild it back up. Right? That's kind of the creative process over years and years and years and years and years. So when you make games, you're going through that whole entire process, plus the politicalness of your studio, whatever it may be, and that's got to wear on you, right? Even though it's self-induced, it wears on you. And what's interesting is you go to the game development conference, you would see people like just drained, kind of like they're there, but they're a little bit more of a shell of themselves, right? And they'll come out of a talk that was given or something like that by a particular developer or a particular insight on something, and you see them come out and you see them come out energized. And that's what's cool about GDC, that you won't see really anywhere else. You won't see it at E3, you won't see it at PAX, you won't see it at any of these places, where you just see them like developers be nourished on what's going on, and honestly just excited to go back to work, go back to their desk, and get shit done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, when it's
Go
all
ahead.
said and done, man, what do you have to share from GDC? What was like what was like the general like theme there with developers? Because there's usually kind of like a main topic that a lot of developers talk about with you know.
Yeah.
So what was going on, man?
So yeah, so I did ask around, and you overhear conversations. It's kind of very similar to like if we talk about stuff we're going to do on the podcast, maybe say from some other people, but we talk in code. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
Xbox Party Chat, no doubt, man.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like lot like that. I made some really good friends and stuff like that that are very very high up. I'm actually really excited about that. But you and I did ask around about last year versus this year because obviously I saw this year firsthand, but I didn't see last year, right? And what it was like, and it was interesting is a lot of like it was almost like the PlayStation didn't exist at
Really?
GDC. Yeah, because it was because the Xbox has got the hot new machine. They're doing a lot of things with their API. They're doing a lot of things with making it easy to port things over. What is that going to mean? All that sort of stuff. Like they're just kind of digesting what is all this, right? What is Xbox essentially doing, right? Now, in contrast, last year there was a lot of talk about Pro. What I heard, a lot of people were talking in code about PlayStation 4 Pro. So that was the very very interesting thing. So hardware is a very hot topic at GDC last year. It was a very hot topic this year, and I can tell you the overall feel is everyone's super positive about Xbox, super positive about Xbox, the direction they're going and the tools they're going, all that sort of stuff. I mean, some people have some max grinds and they have some things they would like to see and their valid points and stuff like that, right? But for the most part, it is. I mean, it's on. This next year, you're going to see competition. I really feel at this E3 going forward that you've never seen before between the three different major platforms, because developers are liking Xbox a lot right now, and that's a good thing because that really wasn't the case the first 2 years of the platform. So
Now, can you elaborate a little bit? Because you said like developers are liking Xbox and stuff like that, and I know you're saying Xbox has that new hot hardware coming out this year. But is there anything kind of like specific that they're really getting into about developing with this thing?
it's about the APIs and how it scales and how it appropriately scales, and how because I've ever heard a couple PlayStation conversations and stuff like that, and the interesting thing that was there was they don't know what to do with the Pro, right? Do they develop their own assembly language, which takes a couple years for the Pro, or they wait for Sony to improve certain things on their own API, right? Um, where a lot of things was, from a developer standpoint, they're just happy with where the API is and how it can scale their software. I've heard conversations about Play Anywhere. If they think it's adds value to their game or not. I've heard both sides of the argument on that sort of stuff. So
So
I've
that's like 50
I've heard,
50 right there with Play Anywhere, or
yeah, there's more for it than I expected, right? Because
nice.
it is a new concept.
Mhm.
But you do have a lot of people that are just kind of like they don't know. It's kind of a wait and see, right? They see the benefits, but they're looking at it objectively, and they see, but what if this or what if that, right? So there's a lot of unknowns with Play Anywhere, so they're really kind of seeing where things are going. Heard rumors about certain things being shown behind closed doors regarding Scorpio. Nothing really specific that was mentioned at E3. I've heard the same rumors right around the end of January with certain developers, certain publishers actually, in particular. So it is the talk right now. It's not just Xbox. It's the API. It's the Play Anywhere. What core values does that platform provide for them as a software provider?
I got you. Now, Don, when we do talk about this, like we've been doing, if there's anything you can't say, because I know I have a couple questions, and I'm gonna ask Foos if he has any questions about GDC for you, and of course K Mega as well. But if there's anything like you really can't say, please let us know, because we're not.
I'll tell you.
I say we're
Don't
not
worry
trying to
about it.
put you out on that limb. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to try to mess with your reputation or anything like that. I do want to ask you in terms of like Scorpio with hardware, because me, you, and K Mega, we did that live show so far back and stuff like that where we talked about hardware. Did you hear anything to kind of possibly solidify Ryzen Vega in terms of like the hardware for Scorpio?
Yeah, I would say I was definitely a lot more comfortable talking about it before. Now that not only that they I've heard things, and I don't know,
You
like you
plead
got
the
to keep in
fifth.
mind.
You plead the
Yeah,
fifth.
you got to keep in mind when you're talking with. Yeah, I'll say this: when you do talk with like developers, and you got to think of rumors and things like that start at a studio just as much as it does on the internet, right? And I call it water cooler talk, right? So there's a lot of like this
Hold on,
water
Dot,
cooler.
Dot, Dot. Just to let you know,
What?
I don't know if you saw the chat, but Oh Snap is telling you to spill the beans, Don. Spill them, sir. But
No,
go ahead, man.
no, man. There is a lot of water cooler talk and things like that. I would say I'm not any less confident than what I've already said. So I'll leave it at that.
That is a very PC answer right there, and
Yeah,
I'm reading between the lines right now, man.
yeah. So I can say that much, because they're all things I've speculated before without really knowing outside of understanding how things work. So
Nice, nice. Now let me bring it to the other guys in the panel here. Yo, Foos, when it comes to GDC, I don't know. Is there anything you would like to ask Don about what he saw or his experience or anything like that, man?
Yeah. Did you get to put your hands on any kind of prototypes for Scorpio? Like,
Not to
the
my
PC model of
knowledge.
it, or
Not to my-
did you play any games
No.
that you think may have been on it?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I can say that. Like, here's the thing: if let's hypothetically here for a sec, if Scorpio was there, it was pretty much Scorpio in a fat suit, right? They're not gonna have the final form factor, I think, in a place like that. They would have it hidden in a PC case, and far as anyone would understand, it would be a PC. So that's why I say, like, to
All
my
right.
knowledge, I don't know.
Okay, I'm not as jealous as I was about you going to GDC then.
but it may have happened. I don't know. That's the crazy thing. But I did see some really impressive PC stuff, so I can tell you that. So
Oh wow. All right. Anything else, Foos?
Nah, man, I don't really know too much about GDC, honestly.
I got you. All right, yo, Mega. Do you have any questions for this chinchilla wearing fool right here when it comes to GDC, man?
Yeah, I want to ask if you can give us any information on what was like the coolest game that that probably would be unknown, maybe like an indie or something that could be available that you played, or if you can't say the actual game, was there some games that just kind of blew you away graphically or anything
uh,
like that?
there was a game that did blow me away graphically, and for multiple different reasons. I'll talk about that one. That was Hellblade. In regards to that, so uh, the things that those guys are doing with such a small team and no publisher, this is very similar to CD Projekt Red.
Oh wow.
Think of like the type of developer, like, because CD Projekt Red, the reason why I think they're able to do what they did, they had the income and the means and the talent, but they didn't have the overhead of say a publisher that's not necessarily a good match for them, right? 'Cause sometimes
Mhm.
that hinders a game, sometimes it helps a game, right? Um, the Ninja Theory, man, they have some amazing stuff. I'm excited for what they're doing. Thinking of more of God of War, right?
Mhm.
Mixed with that freedom that CD Projekt Red has with
Mm.
being their own publisher. And that's what I would say about that. Like, what they're doing, it's an Unreal Engine, that's public knowledge and stuff like that. Um, they didn't really say anything in particular, but I can honestly tell you that I don't think they're not opposed to releasing it on the Xbox or anything like that. They had to start with one platform, keep it simple, and then most likely we'll move it to another platform after that. So
Nice, nice. And do you think that Hellblade? Because I'm very excited for Hellblade because of if anybody played Heavenly Sword, this is supposed to be the sequel to that game, um, and I love that. That was like a
it's
female
it's not a
God of War.
sequel,
Oh, it's
but
not.
no, it's not. No, it's not a sequel at
Or
all.
like a successor.
It's like, yeah, it's more like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, how like God of War is taken a different direction, right?
Mhm.
With the camera, you have a lot of the similar thing with Hellblade. It almost takes a little bit that over the shoulder approach, very similar to what you saw in Rise.
Mhm.
So, I get a little bit of a Rise vibe from it too. So
Oh wow, man, I'm
That's crazy.
excited. I'm excited, man. I'm excited, and then to find out that that it'll be a multi-plat, that would be huge. I think for Xbox to have that type of game to come.
yeah.
Um,
Well, let me say this too as a little teaser for you guys, right? After the work they did in motion capture and then being a small studio and the resources that they have to work with, no game has an excuse to have bad motion capture when it comes to the face and voices anymore. No one has any excuse. They've raised the bar on that one,
Wow.
and they're a small little team. So it's most likely it's all PlayStation first. So something for them to be excited about. But it was a good game. Good game's a good game, regardless of platform. So
that's
Nice.
cool. So, and I think maybe the um if it does come to the Xbox, do you think the Scorpio had anything to do with it? You know, because it's a more powerful console.
I don't think so. I
Oh, you don't
think
think so?
it
Okay.
has. Yeah, I think it just has everything to do with the fact that you got to remember when they started development, it's right at the beginning of PlayStation, right?
Mhm.
PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, right? So
Right.
I think they just looked at where the install base was going initially.
Mhm.
They were going and they're looking at being independent, all that sort of stuff. And I think that's me assuming. I don't know for a fact. Like, don't take it as like public knowledge that they threw out there, but that's what makes sense to me why they did that. And
Nice.
and they don't have any heat towards the other platform. They just have more experience releasing stuff on PlayStation, and that goes a long ways too with a developer too. So
Right. Now I just got one more question. How did what was the response of your game?
oh yeah, that
That's right.
that
Nice.
was I was expecting a lot of um, shit talk, but no, it was extremely positive. Some people thought I was a nutbag doing it all on my own.
Mhm.
Some people were really impressed. I actually got a job offer or two
Nice.
after doing that because they like the lead art direction I was going with and all that sort of stuff. So
Mhm.
it's interesting, so I mean it's honestly spurred a lot of friendships and I would say possible partnerships down the road when the timing's right. So yeah, it was very well received in regards to, I even had one person give me a compliment but also being upset at me because like he's showing it how I was showing mostly how approachable it is to, if you have a talent in one key area or another, right? You have no reason not to start making a game, right? The tools are out there. They're essentially free, right? There's no reason why you can't make a game if you feel you have at least a little bit of talent in any particular key area. And then I showed it from an example of being an artist with limited knowledge on programming, how I can actually get to where I wanted to be, right?
Mhm.
And it was everything from basically trading code where I would basically create models and characters for other teams or other people, right? In exchange, it was all contract based, but exchange for the code I need for a particular thing being controlled in my game that it's outside of my expertise. And it just kind of showed how like how you can work with the community and developers and stuff like that. And one person was really upset. He was like, "Man, I'm not going to let any of my staff see this presentation because then they may be motivated to leave the studio and and do their own thing, right, or whatever, something along those lines." So it's been really really positive. And honestly, I actually enjoy GDC more than I did E3.
Nice. Excellent.
Awesome. I actually do have a quick question if I can just I'm scrolling up in the chat to find it from my boy Kelvin. Let me see. He said something about can you say anything about here we go. Now I'm not sure if he meant shader when he said shaded here, but he's like he asked
Shader level 6.
yeah, DX12 shader model 6 or whatnot.
I know it's talked about. Like I work with shaders a lot in 3D. And I can do a demonstration of exactly what that is. But I think shader language is from a programming aspect of things, and that's like very like it's high, like that's high level programming, like C type stuff that's outside of my realms. But from what I understand, it's a lot more efficient, and it works on a lot more newer, more powerful PC cards. We've heard a lot of rumors it's going to be in the Scorpio, so it's an efficiency sort of thing there. So it's almost kind of somewhat tied to DX12. And I thought I've heard them talk about a shader level 6 before on Xbox One, but it was not out yet. So I don't know if that's still a thing or not. But I mean that's all I really can comment on shader level 6 because it is a little bit outside of my personal expertise.
I got you. Just to let you know, if you get on Kelvin's like radar, he will pick you for information. Like this guy, he finds news articles and stuff like that about DirectX 12, about Xbox, and just like the gaming industry in general. Like,
That's
yo, I think K Mega knows. Like, he comes out with articles I've never seen before and
well,
information.
it's good that that happens, right? Because like I remember when I growing up as a kid, like I would get a Nintendo Power, and they were showing N64, and they were showing all the graphical features of that console because no one really understood what a bump map was or this was because 3D was so new, right? Um, and that was a Nintendo. That's a children's magazine, right?
Yeah.
They explain that stuff. We don't have that in the media today, right? They don't care. They so it's good when we have people like Kelvin and other people in the community, and it's how I uh, met Xbox and I had a lot of respect for him. When people do the homework and they put the information out there, is so people have a higher level of understanding of this sort of stuff, and you get less reactionary gamers, right? You get more of people that have an understanding of these sort of situations. So when people have reactions to things, they have reactions to things that can be addressed, or they can offer some sort of influence that can possibly help out the situation. So shout out to people like Calvin and Calvin himself for being those type of people. So
No doubt. No doubt. Um, and on that case, I think it's about time to wind it down. We're going on like 8:45 right now. Uh,
Really? Oh
yeah,
damn.
yeah. Like I said, man, the topics and we didn't even hit one, but it's one of those topics that we can hit even on a later date. And it'll still be as viable as it is today. So, with that being said, I think we had a lot of really good discussion. I think the topics really kind of evolved really well in today's show. We had O Snaps drop in and give us a little input, which was absolutely amazing. Live on the scene from Cookie Central. Um, uh, all in all, man, and the support. I mean, we have up over 95 people watching right now. You guys, everybody in the chat that checks us out live, thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate the support. Um, but with that being said, we're gonna go in and we're gonna roll out with our outros, and I want to hit the golden voice first. Yo, Foos, really,
Yo
really
yo.
good opinions tonight on these topics and stuff like that. I really enjoyed hearing what you had to say and your questions for the Don as well. Why don't you let everybody in the chat know, where they could get a hold of you, where they could talk games with you if you've been up to anything. You know the deal, man.
Yeah. I've just been playing a lot of Xbox like always, man. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. I got to play a few games with Jordy Tom, the Xbox Pope, and Rainbow Six, which I've still been on. I just can't seem to put it down right now. But yeah, look me up, Fooskies, on Twitter, on Xbox, on YouTube. I'm down to talk games, play games. It's all good.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I'm also checking out Twitter as we're doing this as well. Freaking Hebot is insane. But yeah. All right, let's go down the list here. Don, man. You talked about being at GDC. You talked about your game in development. Why don't you let people know if there's anything that came about with that whole thing, and of course where to find you if you've done any videos on Happy Little Polygons. Man, you know the deal.
yeah, my Twitter handle is the Don underscore KTR. And then on Xbox Live, it's the same thing, but there's a space, no underscore. And just hit me up. And I'm not on my Xbox as much right now because I'm kind of building stuff behind the scenes. But if you don't see me on there, that's what I'm doing, and I'm always game to game with people if I'm free and that sort of thing. So and just hang out and play and just be a gamer, right? Because at the end of the day, you can work really hard making stuff, but you got to remember where that passion comes from. It comes from gaming. It comes from interacting with you guys, and you know that's just as important as actually putting in the work. So
Nice, nice, and it's really good to hear an up and coming developer say something like that, man. Never lose that idea, because I think that is the main thing besides your talent that is gonna really put you in the spotlight a lot more, dude.
I'm just being me. You can't fake. You can't fake.
Yeah,
Who you
for
are.
people
You know
who
what I mean?
know the Don, that is definitely the Don right there. Awesome, dude. Yo, Mega man, I hope you have that scroll ready for all your appearances throughout the week and whatnot. And if there's anything else you want to share with the chat as we're winding down here, man, definitely feel free, brother.
Oh man, I'm gonna be real short with it. I'm not gonna be too long. Just say that just happy to be on the show as usual. Appreciate the supporters and the listeners that constantly fill in. Man, it's great. But yeah, you could check me out on the multiplayer on Thursday nights on Next Gen's channel. I have my own podcast. Uh, Got a couple of audio issues for getting that
Dude,
squared away.
it's smoothing out a lot more, man.
It's smoothing
it's
out more,
getting there.
but I'm the old guy that's messing with a VCR remote, man. That's
His VCR
takes
still
time
flashes
to learn
12.
tech. Huh?
Just so you guys know,
What did you say?
your VCR still flashes 12, right?
Yeah, it's still flashing till 12. I was trying to figure out the time, but no, got a great cast there, man. The panel is the ones that make that makes the podcast, but also big shout out to Intro Media Gaming to the next podcast, and then BGST on Sunday nights when we can make it. Come check us all out, man, and give us support, man. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, and of course, major shout out to O Snap, who I think she surprised us all today, just dropping in and giving her opinions. That was awesome. So O Snap, don't work too hard over there. I will probably be bugging you with text messages and stuff throughout the night. Just making her work that much tougher sometimes when your phone's going off. Dee doo dee doo dee doo. But yeah, it's kind of what I do. And Newark, man. Major shout out to Newark, who kind of, like I said, went home hanging out with his family around kind of like where he was raised and stuff like that. So big shout out to Newark NJ. Dude, we missed you on this show, and I can't wait to have you in next week to talk games and kind of come in and cut me and K Mega off because we need that so badly sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Am I right, Mega? Sometimes? No? No?
Yeah,
A good
no,
majority,
man.
yeah.
Much love for Newark, man,
Yeah,
and
man.
spending time with his family and everything, man.
No
Be
doubt.
safe.
Be safe, man. Yeah, so big shout out to Newark, and then of course everybody who checked us out live tonight. You guys, your support is absolutely incredible. I don't even have words to express how much I appreciate it, and of course to everybody who watches the show after, because YouTube is a worldwide thing, man, and there's something called time zones, and sometimes I know people can't get in and watch the show live from every single time zone around the world. So for people who come in and watch our show, after it airs live, definitely appreciate the support as well. It is Saturday night though, and I know there's a lot of gamers out there itching to get their controllers in their hands. I do want to say, for anybody who is in the insider program on Xbox and you are testing out the Game Pass, I saw new games. They updated the Game Pass test whatever you want to call it. And they added BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite as well. So if you haven't played those titles, you're in the insider program. You can definitely download those games and play them for I believe we get a month to test out the Game Pass. So you can go in and play any of the 3 BioShocks that you want, if not all 3.
I do want to say a little bit something on that. So some of the games that were removed as far as I understand, don't really worry about. They're testing the ability to remove and give you the license sort of stuff as part of the preview program. So see if you can break it and then report it for them. That's kind of part of the reason why it's in the preview right now. So
nice. Definitely good information, man. Because people will see games missing and it'll be like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, they got to test being able to put games in, because you do download them to your local hardware, to your console, and they got to test taking them out and see how that works, if fix the bugs that they don't want to just give you free games as well. Like that's kind of like a bad business practice, to have glitches like that within such a service. And of course, me and O Snaps are meeting up with Inferno and Clowns from Four Guys with Quarters tomorrow. We will be at PAX East. Check out O Snaps YouTube channel. For people who don't know, it's called O Snaps. It's O Snap. It's Mel. All right. I will put a link in the description. Definitely watch her channel because I believe we're gonna be streaming some things from PAX East tomorrow. I'm leaning more towards recording and then dropping videos afterwards showing some of the cool stuff that's at PAX East. I am very excited. I know O Snaps in the chat right now. I know she's very excited, and we are gonna have a blast tomorrow. And I'm not trying to make you guys jelly on the panel. I'm just saying I'm not trying to do that. But
No, I just went to GDC. I'm good.
Oh, be quiet, man.
I just went to GameStop, so
Yeah, it's almost the same thing, right?
I just went to GameStop. But all right, guys, like another show, another Saturday night. Let's let these gamers get in and play the games that they want to play. You guys have a great weekend. Again, we appreciate all the support. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this show right now. Just your support and your dedication to us is what makes us kind of reach further and try to do more for you guys, and we really do appreciate it. But as I always say at the end of the show, we will see you next Saturday on the next podcast. Have a great weekend, guys.
laters.
Peace.
Let's do this.